Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar on the Union Product Database. This is Irene Zanetti from EMA. I'm the change manager at EMA's Veterinary Medicines Division. And without further ado, I would give the floor to Olivier Simon, the IT project manager of the Union Product Database, to start with this session. Olivier, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Irene. Good morning, everyone. My name is Olivier Simon. I am the project manager of the Union Product Database project. First, the agenda, of course. The objective of today is to brief the industry stakeholders, marketing authorization holders on the current status of the Union Product Database, provide you an overview of the system, and also we will demonstrate some functionality that we have already developed for you. To that end, we propose the following agenda. I will give you a general introduction on the Union Product Database, the context, the program, the regulation, and so on. Then our lead business analyst, Ana Vicente, will give you an overview of the functionalities that we are developing for marketing authorization holders, and also topic 4, give a demo of some demonstration of some of that functionality already. And then we foresee 25 minutes towards the end for a Q&A. A few logistics. We are recording this session because although you're very numerous today, there are still a lot of other people who are interested, so we will make the recording available on the EMA website. But that also means that you agree to being recorded today, and that this recording will be published. So unfortunately, if you do not agree, then I'll have to ask you to leave the meeting. Then we are already 633, well, and counting participants. So we're very numerous, so please all mute your microphones to eliminate any background noise. We will have a Q&A session at the end, as you've seen on the agenda. So please keep your questions until then. However, when and if you think of a question, please feel free to type it in the chat box. And then what we'll do in the end during the Q&A session, we will go through the questions in, let's say, chronological order. I don't expect that we will have the opportunity, the time to go through all the questions. So what we will do is we will provide a written answer to all the questions, those which we have time to answer and those which we will not have the time. And we will attach this to the slides and then send that out in a few days from here. So that's the logistics. Let's move on and immediately jump into topic 2, the first topic. So this is where I want to give you an overview of the UPD project, specifically where we are now and what the next steps are as relevant for marketing authorization holders. So the Union Product Database project, the context is a new piece of legislation, Regulation 2019/6, which replaces previous directive dating from 82. The main objectives of the regulation, you have it here on the slide, is to modernize, innovate, increase availability of veterinary medicines and information on veterinary medicines, and also strengthen the EU action to fight antimicrobial resistance. This regulation was approved in 2018 and became effective in January 2019. It will become applicable on the 28th of January 2022. So in about 5 months from here. I already referred to the regulation, Regulation 2019/6. However, during this 3-year implementation period, we have also been working jointly with the Commission and the Member States and so on on various implementing acts. For instance, for UPD, there are two implementing acts, one on UPD itself and then one on variation not requiring assessment. Those have also been finalized and published. And then under the implementing acts, there's also something that we call the implementation guide, which you can find on the EMA website. And that describes very concretely how to work with UPD, what information to provide, what are the business rules, and so on. Up to now, most of the chapters have been focusing on member states, and I will explain in a minute or in a few slides why we have been focusing on member states. However, we've also started to publish specifications there which are relevant for you as marketing authorization holders. So those are the three layers of legislation and relevant and related which are relevant for this. The objective of the program is to put in place the IT systems to support this new regulation. This program is called VMP-Reg, which means Veterinary Medicinal Products Regulation. And you have here on the slide some of the main IT systems, common IT systems that we are putting in place or amending to support this regulation. So it goes from pharmacovigilance database, manufacturing wholesale distribution database, antimicrobials. Also at the bottom you have public information, a public website or websites that we are putting into place. And what all of these IT systems have in common is they all need information on medicinal products. And that is why you see the Union Product Database here in the core, in the center of all of those IT systems. And the Union Product Database, I'll come back to that on a few slides later. The Union Product Database is really intended as the reference database on information on medicinal products, to be used initially by all the IT systems supporting the regulation, but of course the vision is to go beyond that. We also have some icons here on this slide, substance, organization, referentials, product, a bit hidden in the Union Product Database icon. Those are the supporting systems. Most of you will have heard of the SPOR program, SPOR, substances, products, organizations, and referentials. And those are being used by the Union Product Database. Again, I'll come back to that in a few slides later. So the purpose of the program is to support the IT, or to put in place the IT system that support the regulation. What is not in scope is to implement business processes in member states, authorities, or industry. Also, what is not in scope is any changes required to member state or industry stakeholders, although we are supporting the efforts going on in the various member states quite heavily by having various webinars and so on. What is also out of scope is the quality assurance of any data prior to submission, although there as well, we are helping out as much as we can. To guide the program, we have a governance program, which you can see here. The highest body is the VMP-Reg coordination group, consisting out of representatives of the Commission, member states, the EU telematics structure, the HMA task force, and so on. Under the coordination group, there is per project a project group, also sometimes known as a project board. For UPD, where is it to the left? You have the UPD project group, which consists out of stakeholders, representatives, I should say, of the various member states, Commission, and EMA. of course. And then we have the VMP-Reg stakeholders group, which is an advisory group composed of industry and healthcare professionals. And then we have the UPD product owner group, again, representatives of member states and industry. This is a group which is very, very active. They work very closely with our business analysts, and they come together 3 times per week to discuss and specify the detailed requirements that the development team is then building. Let's move on to slide 11. On the next 2 slides, you have a bit of more explanation on the mandates of those various groups. Slide 11. So I already indicated one of the purposes, one of the reasons why we're building the Union Product Database is because it simply makes sense to have all the information on medicinal products in one database rather than spread over all the different IT systems supporting this regulation. But also there is a legal driver, Article 55 of the regulation, which you have here on the screen. So operationally speaking, what is UPD providing? Well, it will be the reference database, the common database on providing information about the veterinary medicinal products, but also it will provide information on the availability of veterinary medicinal products. Now, the reason why we do this is, of course, to make sure that it can be used by other systems. And that is why it's important that as much as possible of information in UPD is structured and uses controlled vocabularies. And that is why I mentioned earlier the importance of the SPOR, S-P-O-R, databases, really, because that is where we have our controlled vocabularies on substances, organizations, referentials. Other objectives of UPD are integration and activities of the regulatory network. I indicated initially UPD is supporting the systems in VMP-Reg, but of course our vision is to go beyond that, that it supports really all activities of regulatory network and support electronic exchange of product data between competent authorities, agencies, and of course also industry stakeholders. So what are then the main functionalities of UPD? At a very high level, a first group of functionalities is provision of product information by Ncas. So Ncas have 2 responsibilities in terms of provision of product information. First of all, they need to provide what we call the legacy product information. So when we go live with UPD on the 28th of January 2022, so can we go back a slide? So, okay, thank you. So when we go live with UPD in January 22, the idea is not only to go live with some functionality, the idea is to go live with a completed database. Now, to have the medicinal product information, that is where we need the member states to provide everything they have now, depending on for all the different procedures. EMA is also uploading the CAP information. So that is the first responsibility of Ncas in terms of provisioning of product information between now and January, provide everything, all the information that we have. And then on an ongoing basis, when there is new or modified medicinal product information, that is also the responsibility of the Ncas as per the regulation and the implementing act. To that end, Ncas will have, already have, a web user interface and an application programming interface, an API. Basically, an API, for those of you who are not that technical, is a piece of software that allows IT systems to communicate in an automated fashion. So this means that Ncas can either manually connect to a web user interface to provide the product information, or from within their IT systems, they can automatically provide that information via the API into UPD. The international standards that we use for this information interchange is the FHIR standard, Fast Healthcare Information Resources, which is part of a wider group of standards known as Health Level 7, HL7. I mentioned earlier already a few times SPOR. The P in SPOR stands for PMS, and that is a database of all product information, veterinary, but also human. And the UPD database builds on top of PMS. But not only the member states, also MAHs have a responsibility to provide information. The information on volume of sales, information on availability information. And for that, we are developing a web user interface, and at a later point in time, also an application programming interface. Other than these responsibilities or these functionalities to actually put information in the database, there's another important change that the new regulation is introducing, and that is variations not requiring assessments. I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but the concept is that if you look today, a lot of the variations that are provided do not really require an detailed scientific assessment. That is why the new regulation foresees this concept of variations not requiring assessment, what we call VNRA. And the idea there is that it's a do and tell principle. So the MAH provides information and UPD say we have changed this, and then the member states have a certain period of time to approve or reject that change. And this this new concept, this process, is supported by UPD. Now, remember that on one of the previous slides, I indicated that one of the things that we want to achieve with this new regulation is to provide more access to information on medicinal products. And to that end, we are putting in place, we're developing a public website for the general public. Then we are reusing as much as possible existing IT systems. So I already mentioned SPOR a few times, but also we are reusing the EMA Access Management System, formerly known as IAM. And most or some of you who have already dealt with EMA IT systems will be familiar with this portal to basically request an account to use systems hosted at EMA. Then, sorry, next slide, please. Here you see an overview, I don't know if it's readable, of all the various components that I just explained. So today, the demo that Ana Vicente will do will focus on the MAH user interface, which is kind of in the middle of this diagram. So what is the information what are the products that are in scope of the regulation? It's the veterinary medicinal products that are authorized for use. It's the homeopathics. And then it's also what we call the Article 5.6 products, veterinary medicinal products allowed to be used in a member state in accordance with Article 5.6, basically for animals which are exclusively kept as pets. Just one important caveat here, this is not part of the MVP release, the January 2022 release. The types of information that we have, of course, already mentioned a few times, product information, but other than the structured data, also we have various documents that we have in UPD, the summary of product characteristics, the patient leaflet labeling, assessment report. And then the information on annual volume of sales, responsibility of MAHs, and then information related to variations not requiring assessment. So those, at a very high level, are the various categories of information that we have in UPD. So all of this is the context of the UPD project. Where are we now with this? So we have already put 3 versions of UPD in production. All of those aimed at Ncas, National Competent Authorities. Why? Because Ncas, as I explained earlier, they have a legal obligation to provide, to upload legacy data before the 28th of January 2022. And that is what the 3rd release, so milestone 3 and 3 in July, that is a functionality that was provided as part of this release. So as we speak, member states are uploading all of their legacy data in UPD. Since the release in July, we have an incremental release every 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks, we put a next version in our test environment and also in the production environment. Why every 3 weeks? Because we work in an agile fashion, and that means that every 3 weeks we have like a new release that can be tested, and then if it passes the test, of course, can be put in production. And of course, in the meantime, we're also developing functionality for MAHs, and I will, as part of the next topics, provide you more detailed information on this. The functionality for MAHs will go in production in January 22. However, before that, we want to work with you to make sure that you are as prepared as possible. So to that end, we have already published specifications on the EMA website. Again, that will become more clear later. And we are organizing a user acceptance test end October, early November, where we would like to invite you. So a call for expression of interest will be sent to the representatives of industry associations and the product owner group. Maybe what I'll do, I'll add something to the slide to put in the names of those people in case you don't know them. Then you can contact those for any information that you need. Coming back to this user acceptance testing, the objective is to do end-to-end testing. So we will have test scenarios simulating real life, almost product life cycles, where, for instance, an MAH will provide you an NCA information on a new product, and then, let's say, an initial marketing authorization. The NCA will then, using this functionality that I described earlier, will enter that information in the UPD. A notification will go to the MAH, marketing authorization holder, who will then, for instance, add on the annual volume of sales. Again, notification goes to the NCA. You get the picture. That's the kind of end-to-end scenarios that we want to execute during the UAT. The UAT also signals what we call the feature freeze, because from end of October onwards, we have to stop developing new functionality and focus on stabilizing the existing functionality. No doubt you have some experience with IT systems, with IT projects. There are sometimes, well, no, they're not sometimes, there are bugs which need to be fixed. And that is why we have foreseen a 3-month period to fix as much as possible of the defects to make sure that the system that we go live with in January 22 is as stable as possible. One exception to this two exceptions to this feature freeze is the public website that's been developed by the European Commission, because they're also the ones who have developed the EMA website and want to have as much as possible the same look and feel for the EMA website as for the UPD website. And they can only deliver the first release in November. It's pretty much a standalone piece of functionality, so that's okay. And then also variations not requiring assessment will only be functionally complete in end of November. So that's why we will organize a VNRA specific UAT in December. But with exception of those two groups of functionalities, we really should be feature complete by end of October. And I will wrap up now this topic. So a few other points you have here on the slide, the link to where you have the specifications for provisioning data by MAHs. Also important to point out, I already mentioned a few times that we have an agile approach. So that means that when we go live with this very first version in January, it is what we call the MVP release. MVP stands for minimum viable product. That means that it will fulfill all the, or it will provide all the core functionality that is required. However, we don't stop there. Already now we have what we call a product backlog, a catalog of requirements for functionality where the product owners thought that it's very important to have this functionality, but however, we can survive for a while without that functionality. So to that end, we have already now planned 3 monthly post-MVP releases after January 22, where we will then provide an order of priority more and more features for UPD. That is the information I wanted to share with you in terms of the context of the UPD project, where we are and where we are going. I will now hand over to Anna. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Olivier, and good morning, everyone. My name is Ana Vicente. I work as a business analyst at EMA for the Union Product Database. And today what I'm going to do is to give you this overview of the functionalities that the marketing authorization holders will have in the for the UPD portal. This work, what we are going to present today, is the result of a great effort that has been done by a lot of people. I would like to mention just testers, developers, solution architects, and a special mention again to the product owner group that are these representatives from the marketing authorization holders and competent authorities that have been working really hard during now more than a year, every week, just to define all the functionalities that we will see today. Okay, I'm going to proceed now with the presentation that I have divided in 2 parts. First, I will give you this overview and an introduction to all the functionalities that marketing authorization holders are required to do with the new regulation. And then I will go to the demo itself, to the system. So here in this slide, what we want to present is the overview of how the marketing authorization holders will interact with the Union Product Database. So on one side, you can see on the right the database, the UPD, and the marketing authorization holders on the left. So marketing authorization holders will use the UPD web user interface. That is the system that has been developed for marketing authorization holders and competent authorities in order to fulfill your legal requirements with the UPD. So everything that you need to do, it will be always via this portal. Now, this portal doesn't work directly with the Union Product Database. As mentioned before by Olivier, the Union Product Database the system will connect to the database through a set of APIs. Okay, here we wanted to focus on the functionalities of the marketing authorization holders. However, I have also incorporated to the slide the competent authorities. We cannot forget that the Union Product Database is going to be the central database for all the products that veterinary medicinal products that have been authorized within the European Economic Area. And these authorizations are granted by the competent authorities, which also have the responsibility to record all these products in the Union product database. So your activity as a marketing authorization holder will start when these competent authorities enter the products on the Union product database. So the functionalities that will have the competent authorities are they create products. They will also maintain these products in UPD. They will do updates, and these updates can be corrections or can be the result of a variation requiring assessment when the outcome was positive, or because they have approved the so-called variations not requiring assessment that already Olivier was explaining. These variations, they don't require a scientific assessment, so they will be submitted by marketing authorization holders, and the competent authorities will need to approve or reject. In case they are approved, they will go and they will be recorded in UPD. So competent authorities will be able as well to search and view product and to search and view notifications. From the part of the marketing authorization holder, we have several a series of actions that they can perform. On the first group, we have what we call other post-authorization data. And this group of actions involve the submission of the availability status and placing on the market date. Sorry, the availability status will need to be provided at package level for each one of the products for which you have a role. The marketing authorization status. So marketing authorization holder will need to update the status, the marketing authorization status of their products when they get revoked or suspended. And finally, the volume of sales. The volume of sales I will do later on the UPD, the demo, so I will provide you more detail on which is the process that that we have defined together with product owners and with the product owners. So this is the first group. That is the other post-authorization data. And then we have as well the submission of the variations not requiring assessment. We have marketing authorization holders. Of course, they will be able as well to search, view products, and to search and view notifications in UPD, in the portal. Okay, if we consider here how the data that is going to be submitted by the marketing authorization holder, how it's going to be recorded in UPD, can be in two ways, different ways, depending on the type of information that you are submitting as a marketing authorization holder. So if the marketing authorization holder submits other post-authorization data, this data will be directly recorded in the Union product database. Products will be updated at the same time that you are submitting the data. However, if the marketing authorization holder is submitting variations not requiring assessment, the products will not be updated unless these variations are approved by a competent authority. Okay. Here we are trying to represent how the notifications will work in the UPD portal, the user interface. We have a system of notifications. These notifications are triggered anytime that one of the two actors, the marketing authorization holders or the competent authorities, are performing one of the actions that are on the left. So we have create product, update product, variations not requiring assessment, update other post-authorization data, and nullify product. Any of these actions will trigger the generation of a notification in the Union product database. The system will generate these notifications. So these notifications will make they will be made available in the UPD portal, and then the users, you will need to log in and to go to the section of the notifications in order to see what's happening with your products. Now, before I go to the demo, to the portal itself, we are going to start. I'm going to give you some context and some information that maybe it's important to know before we go to the UPD portal. The objectives of the demo, to what I'm going to demonstrate today in the portal. We are going to see the current system capabilities for searching and viewing products in UPD. Also, we will see which functionalities have the UPD portal are supporting the notifications, so that a marketing authorization holder can go to the portal and search and view these notifications. And finally, I will go to the section of volume of sales, and I will give a demonstration of the end-to-end process flow for a submission of volume of sales. Now, we want also, with this presentation, with the demo, provide you an overview of the look and feel of the UPD portal. We know that for most of you, or for some of you, is the first time that you are going to have this this view of the UPD portal. So it is really important for us to take your feedback. And this is the next point. In all the demos that we do, we want to collect your feedback. We will do this time through your comments and your questions, because we always consider all your suggestions for future releases. What we consider that can be that we can use to enhance the functionalities, we will consider for future releases. Okay, these are some preliminary considerations that I want to give you just to set the expectation of what you are going to see today on the UPD portal. The portal is under development, so it means that what you are going to see today already will have one or two versions later given. So it we go more advanced than what we are going to see today. And today they are working. So we are working under an agile methodology, and everything is changing. So some of the functionalities that we are going to see today might not be completed or optimized for this demo, and we will see some examples. And one important point, next bullet point, is that we have not implemented yet the authorization mechanisms, meaning that some of the functionalities that are specific for the competent authorities will be visible today. Not, of course, when we implement in the future, because this could not be possible. But today we will see a mix of competent authorities and your functionalities. This demo, I'm going to perform the demo in the system integration testing environment. So all the data that we are going to see is not real. The current implementation, the web user interface is based on the beta implementation guide that was published last month of July. Already Olivier was speaking about this document. We have also provided you the link in this presentation that will be shared later. And this document is really important because it will give you the specifications for each one of the fields that you are going to see today that compose these UPD projects. So it's really a really interesting document, an important one. And finally, audit capabilities have been implemented, although they will not be accessible from the portal. So we have logs. They are not going to be accessible from the portal. If someone wants to take or to request these logs, you will need to write to service desk, or we will put the procedure in place for that. Okay, finally, before we go to the portal, this is the high-level user journey, what we are going to see to demonstrate today. So in this case, the first two bullet points on the left are the search and view of product and notifications. So the user can search and view products for which she or he has a role, and the same with the notifications. A user and marketing authorization holder will be able to search and view notifications generated in the system for products for which you have a role. Okay, first we will see these two functionalities, and then I will demonstrate the flow, the end-to-end flow for the volume of sales. And it works as follows. The user accesses the UPD area for volume of sales and select download list of packages. So first you will download a CSV file, and we will see during the demonstration with all your packages. Then in your local environment, you will prepare the file that will be submitted with the volume of sales data. So the user prepares the file with the data on volume of sales to be submitted. The user accesses the UPD area for volume of sales and selects submit volume of sales. So you will do the submission. And after the submission, the system will validate a set of rules that we have already defined for the system. The user will be able to check the status of all their submissions. They can be, there are two statuses, failed or valid. If the submission was not successful, then the user will get an error report and you will be able to see all the errors on your file. And finally, the user will be able, there is a functionality that will allow the user to view per product the data on volume of sales that you have submitted and has been successfully recorded in the system. So this is the high-level user journey, and now we are going to move to the UPD portal. So this is the UPD portal. Okay, for those who see this portal for the first time, we have on the top a toolbar with all the main functionalities. Just a second, I will enlarge. With all the main functionalities that the system will support for you. In this case, as mentioned before, we have not implemented the authorization, and that's why we see here the create product. You know that this is a specific for competent authorities, so in the future you will not see this functionality. Which are the functionalities for the marketing authorization holders? Okay, we have the search functionality for products, and this functionality will also allow a marketing authorization holder to view a detailed information of these products. We have the other post-authorization data. As mentioned before, we are referring to marketing authorization status, availability status, and volume of sales. We have also submission of variations not requiring assessment. And finally, we have notifications. This is the four main options that you will have on the main menu. We are going to start, as suggested, by search product, and then we will go through notifications, and finally, we will do the end-to-end flow for the volume of sales. So I'm going to go to the search screen. Okay, that's the search screen. The search screen is divided into parts. So on the top part, you have the search form is search criteria that will allow you to narrow down the number of results that you want to retrieve when you are performing a search. If you don't want if you don't want to apply filters, what you have to do, you will submit your search, and then what the system will do is to retrieve all the products for which you have a role, meaning that, for example, if you have 3 roles, the system will retrieve all the products for these 3 roles. So if we want to narrow down the results, we can use the filters. I'm going to use, for example, the product name, and we are going to search all the products which contain, okay, I'm going to indicate to the system, which contain clomicalm. Okay, so in this case, the system has retrieved 3 products, the clomical 5 milligrams, 80 milligrams, and 20 milligrams per tablet. Apart from the product name, we can use also a marketing authorization holder filter, authorization number, permanent identification number, product identification number, the ATC bit code, authorization status, authorization procedure type, authorization country, and target species. I will not go through each one of them. If you have doubts of the meaning or the specifications of each one of them, you can go to the beta implementation guide and you will find there all the detail. For example, the difference between a permanent identification number and a product identification number that sometimes create confusion. So permanent identification number is a number that will be unique for each one of your products, while the product identification number is the one that will be used in UPD, that UPD will use to group all these products that have been approved under the centralized mutual recognition or subsequent recognition procedures. Okay, so if you want to apply any of the filters, you can do it to narrow down the results. Now, what happens when you want to know more information about your products? Okay, so You go to the table, you see also that you can order your results with any of the arrows that you have on the header of the table, okay? And you can view more information of your product just by pressing on the row. So by pressing, a product card will appear on the right, and it will provide you more information on the product. This is not the complete information of the product, it's just a partial view. If we want to see the complete information of the product, we need to go to the view screen by pressing the link on the product card. Okay, so this is the view of the product. You can also, this is the current version of the product. If the product has more than one version, you can also navigate through the different versions of the product. This functionality, edit product data, it's only for competent authorities. So that's another example that shows that we have not implemented yet the authorization. So this is the view of a product. We had divided in several sections. The product view. We have a section for general information, and you can, of course, navigate through this menu through all the sections of the product. We have first the general information. Second section is for veterinary medicinal product name information, and this section is because for some products you will provide more than one name. We are considering for each name the language and the country. So considering that there are countries where that they have more than one official language, they will provide more than one name. Or even for centralized products where we have, where we can have the names in all the languages, the official languages for the European Union. So this is the second section. The third one is the marketing authorization registration procedure. We have as well the product classification, the pharmaceutical product section, the manufacturing business operations section, pharmacovigilance section, documents, and finally, we have the packages. As you know, we are in a test environment and we are missing some data in this example. So maybe relevant to mention here that for each one of the packages, in this case, I'm thinking that this is a centralized, yes, it's a centralized product because we have availability status for all the countries. So each one of the packages will contain also the information that you have provided as a marketing authorization holder on availability status. And you will see here for this specific product, the value is not data provided. This is most of the legacy data. Products will contain this status for their products because in the chapter 2 of the vet implementation guide, once again, we are referring to this document. The recommendation to the competent authorities is that when you don't have the value, the availability status for the packages of a product, the value to be supplied or provided is this one, no data provided. Okay, so this is the complete information of a product. And now we are going to move to the notifications area. So these are the notifications, and the structure of the page is exactly the same like the search products. So we have two parts. We have on the top part, we have the form, the search form, and on the bottom, we have the table with all the results. So in this case, again, these two flags show only products under my responsibility and exclude products where my role is RMS. This is specific for competent authorities. Now, the filters that will be available for marketing authorization holders are the permanent identification number, the product identification number. Then we can select also a range of dates, date from and date to, the product name, and the action. One important filter is the action. In this case, for this test environment, at the moment, we have only include the action create, update, and nullify. If you remember from the presentation, we have also variations not requiring assessment. We have submission of other post-authorization data. So all these actions will be included in this drop-down, and you will be able to filter the notifications that you want to see. So which information will contain each notification? This, okay, all the columns will be with the values. In this case now, this is because we are in the test environment that we cannot see the complete information. This table is going to be, we have enriched in the current development that today we are doing in this sprint. We have already incorporated more information to these notifications. But we are going to see the example of the first one, where the Irish agency has just created the product Extavox 5 milligram premix for medicated feeding staff. So HPRA has created this product. Then if you are the marketing authorization holder of this product, you will be able to see this notification. It will tell you when was this product created, and also it will give you the link to the product information. That I think is the most important part of the notification. So via the permanent identifier or the product name, you will be able, by pressing on the link, to go to review your product information. Okay? In this case, you will go to your product, and then if you see that there is something not correct, please, you will need to contact the competent authority to correct the data. Okay, we have seen already the search functionality and the view for products. We have seen the notifications, and now we are going to move to other post-authorization data. What we have implemented today and what I'm going to test is the volume of sales. So here, before I do the end-to-end flow, I want to mention several things. First, the data on volume of sales is going to be consumed by other systems. Already in one of the slides, Olivier was mentioned that, for example, pharmacovigilance and SBAC will retrieve data from UPD related to the volume of sales. Which is the marketing authorization holder will exchange information with UPD with the form or with the format of CSV files. So the information is going to flow, submitting and retrieving CSV files. What is a CSV file? Okay, it's a text file which has a format. And because of this format, the system can read and can process the data that is inside. And this data can be stored. In this case, our CSV file is going to contain the information separated by commas, and we will see now one example. And then you will retrieve the information in a CSV file, and you will submit the volume of sales also in the same format. In this way, the system knows how to store all this data. Maybe let's see. Okay. We are going to go through the 4 steps that I already represented in the user journey that we already saw. First, the user will need to download the list of packages. Then you will need to submit the volume of sales. You can see your submissions, the status, and then you can see the volume of sales. The first step for volume of sales is not mandatory. You will need to do for sure for the first time, because when we download the list of packages, you are downloading the package identifiers that you will need to map your products or your packages with the packages in UPD. So the only way to know which IDs have your packages is downloading all the list of packages. So you can do this the first time, and it's not needed to do a second time unless you know that you have new packages in UPD. So we are going to start with this process as a marketing authorization holder. Okay, to mention that we have here this section, and this section will not be in the real UPD when we go live in January. This is temporary, and is because we don't have implemented the authorization. Because the system doesn't know who I am, we have implemented this section, and I am telling to the system that I work or I have a role for this, for the organization that has this log ID. Okay. So now the system, because we have implemented this functionality, knows who I am. And now the system is going to retrieve all the packages for my log ID, for my organization. So I'm going to download the list of packages. Okay. Okay, this is the list of packages that I have today in UPD. This is a CSV format, so you see that all the information is separated by commas. For this demonstration, what I'm going to do, because Excel provides a functionality that allows a user to transform this CSV file into Excel tables, I'm going to show you the data in a more structured way. So we go to data,
Anna?
and we are going to tell.
Anna, apologies for interrupting. If you are showing a CSV file,
Yes, you're right.
okay.
Yes. Yes, and I don't know how to do. Okay, let me share again, because then I think I need to share the screen and not the.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Let me try again. I'm going to stop and to share again. Apologies for that. Now I think it will be ready. Okay, you see now the UPD, and I'm going to open the Excel file. It's now ready?
Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Irene. Okay, this is the CSV file. This is the download file with all my packages for the products for which I have the role. So I'm going to tell to Excel that I want to see this information in another format. So I will tell, please convert text to columns, and I will tell that the CSV file is delimited by commas. So now it is better, and this is what you are retrieving from UPD. So let me just mention that the information that you will need, now you will need to prepare with this file the volume of sales submission, and you will need to provide the information on package identifier, okay, that is provided here. You will need also to provide the country identifier, that this is from RMS. So in this case, we are going to transform also to make it more readable. Okay, this is the country identifier. And then we will need to provide for the volume of sales all these fields that are empty on the right. Okay, I will put in yellow. And it means that you will need to prepare all this information. What is important for UPD is the yellow part. So you need to provide the package identifier, the country identifier, and all the fields that are on the right. I have prepared for the presentation already an example, so we don't need to complete it now. Okay, and I'm going to show you. Just a second. Okay, this is what I'm going to submit to the system. So I have the country identifier, the package identifier, and all the information that is on the right. If you provide any of the other fields, it's not a problem because the system just will ignore. If you want to provide the package name, the product name, or the procedure name, I mean, any of the fields that are here is not a problem. You can leave them there, but we will not validate. So the system will validate the package identifier, the country, and then you will need to provide the month and year for the volume of sales, the volume of sales. Target species is not the name and is not target species. Just this has been already corrected in the version that we are working today. For volume of sales, the marketing authorization holder will need to use the species list in RMS, not the target species. So you will need to provide here the identifier for the species. The percentage, if a package has more than one species, in this case, you will need to indicate to the system the percentage of the sales that each one of the species have. You will indicate the dose factor and then a comment. The comment is optional. So now we go again to the portal. We have done already the first step, that is to know which are the package identifiers of my products. And now I'm going to submit the volume of sales. So in this case, I will select my file, the one that I have prepared, and I will submit the information. Okay, so the upload has been completed and the system will bring me to the screen of the view submission. If you remember, is the third option that we have in the menu, view submission of volume of sales. This screen will allow me to see which is the status of each one of my submissions. In this case, the one that I have just sent, it doesn't appear because it can take more than 10 minutes. So we will not see for this demo the result of the one that I have just sent. But I have been sending during the last day a few submissions. So I'm going to show you what I did. Today I did submissions and yesterday they were valid. So the system in the submission status is indicating that they were okay. Now, on the 13th of September, I created one and was, the status is failed. So for each submission that is failed, the system will provide to the user an error report. The error report I'm going to download is the same submission file that you have sent, and the system will add a column at the end, indicating for each one of the rows where are the errors in your file. So let's open this one. Okay. Here I will do it really quick. Again, the same process. Okay, so this is your submission, and the system is specifying here in the last column which are the errors. And the errors are that the target species term ID does not exist in UPD. In this case, it's in RMS, but yes, the error is because I was trying to enter target species, a term from target species, but it didn't work because the system is expecting a term from the species list and not for the target species list. So this is what will happen if you have errors in your file. If you are submitting, 1,000 packages, the system will add just the error in each one of the rows that have an error. So I will repeat the steps. We have downloaded our packages. We were preparing in our system the submission. We have submitted the volume of sales, and we have reviewed which is the status of our submissions. And now, finally, we can also go to the view volume of sales. That is a page that will allow a marketing authorization holder to download for each one of your products all the volume of sales that you have submitted for a period of time. I'm going to put one example. In this case, I'm going to select my last product, and I'm going to indicate to the system that I would like to see the volume of sales for the year 2021. So from January, and I will indicate until August. So I'm going to download this file. Again, it's a CSV file. And this is all the data that UPD has today for my products. And this data was from my submissions. So let me again transform the data. That is clear. And here it is. So we have the month and year that was submitted successfully. We have the volume of sales. We have the target species. We have, in this case, is the identifier. Again, this is if you open the CSV file in a text editor, you will see the numbers. So, okay, I will not transform more the data. You have the target species, the percentage, what we mentioned before, which is the percentage of the sales for each one of the target species, the dose factor, and then the comment. Okay, this is how you will be able to see the data that you have submitted. And this is the 4 steps or the 4 functionalities that system will provide for the volume of sales. And with this, I have, this is the end of my presentation for volume of sales and the UPD portal. So thank you very much for your attention. Irene, I give you the floor.
Thank you very much, Anna and Olivier, for your presentations. And thank you to all the participants who have been very active and submitted a number of questions, some of which we have already responded in the chat. And for the others, we will try now in the 20 minutes remaining. For those, if we don't have enough time to respond to all of them, in any case, we will include those in the slide deck that we will circulate after the meeting. So no worries if we cannot cover them all. One question was regarding the volume of sales and whether that is public data and what it will happen with that, how it will be treated.
Okay, I can answer this one, Olivier. Okay, the volume of sales, we have an access policy, and it's clearly states, and also in the implementing act that the volume of sales data will be only accessed by the competent authorities and the marketing authorization holder who owns the products. So it will not be published in the general public portal.
Thank you very much, Anna. There is also a question regarding variations not requiring assessment. So once they are approved by the competent authority, would it be possible to print a PDF document of the approval in order to provide that to international authorities?
Okay, I will answer this one as well. This has been captured as a post-MVP requirement. Currently, you can do, every browser allows you to print what you see on the screen. So if you have the submission of the variation, if you have your submission on the screen, you will be able to generate this PDF from your browser. Now, UPD doesn't have at the moment a functionality and will not have for the minimum viable product just to generate a PDF document. The workaround is that you generate via your browser. Now, in the future, and it will need to be prioritized, it can be that the UPD offers this functionality.
Thank you very much, Anna. These questions have already been answered. There was a question regarding whether what will happen when several MAHs are part of one procedure, and who will be able to enter and change data. So MAHs will have to agree on that, and only authorized users from the relevant organization will be able to input and change data. Okay, then there is a question regarding the search functionality and whether it will be possible to search by dosage form.
No, we don't foresee to search by dosage. I'm trying to think, but we don't have this. It cannot be because we don't have this information in a structured format in UPD. We don't have this field. It's not one of the fields of the UPD products. So it will not be possible that we can search by dosage. No.
Okay, thank you very much.
Essentially because we don't have this information in UPD as a field.
Thank you, Anna. One question regarded whether the search results are going to be downloadable, and you demoed that.
Okay, yes.
Please.
Okay, sorry, Irene, I forgot to mention, yes, that we have the export functionality. Okay, so you will be able to search all your products, and what the information that you see on your screen, you will be able to export, or your what you see on the table. If you have 400 results because you have 400 products, you will be able to export in a CSV file, format.
Thank you. One additional question focuses on what will be accessible as read-only access to users that are not from MAHs or competent authorities, for example, foreign authorities outside the EU.
Authorities outside EU, as far as I understand, this portal is just for competent authorities who own products, so they will have a role, and for marketing authorization holders, unless you have a user with a role and this role is approved by one. But here we are going into authorization and all the roles and permissions, but I don't think so. Now what we expect is competent authorities and marketing authorization holders.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and just to complement, indeed, everyone will be able to access the public portal, but not this restricted one. Yeah. There is also one question regarding whether it will be possible for MAHs to see the date of the latest update to a product and not only the marketing authorization date.
Can you repeat the question, Irene?
Yes, sorry. Will it be possible to marketing authorization holder users see the date of the latest update to a product on top of the marketing authorization date?
You will see this in the version. You will not see the date of the version, but every change or every update that you do to a product, it will generate a new version, and you will be able always to access the last version of the product. What I don't think so that we are now showing when was done this change, but in the notification, yes. In the notification, you will have the date when was, of the action, where the action was triggered. I don't know if it answered the question.
I believe it does. And otherwise, colleagues, please submit a follow-up question, and we will tackle that. One question concerns the number of accounts to work on the UPD user interface per marketing authorization holder. So is there a number or is there no limit?
Maybe I can take that one. So there is no limit on the number of accounts that we have per MAH. For dimensioning purposes, internally, we have made an assumption on the average number of users per MAH, but and that is 5. I can share that, of course. But of course, if you need more than that, can be accommodated. Going forward, there will be a limitation on the number of API users. We can just have one API per MAH, both for Ncas and for MAHs. Why is that? Because well, the API user basically represents your IT system. So we cannot have two parallel IT systems representing the same MAH to automatically exchange information. But on the number of users for the user interface, there's no limitation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Olivier. There is an additional question on submitting a package. So to submit a package, will marketing authorization holder have to fill in a CSV file?
Yes, for the minimum viable product, yes. All the information that is going to be submitted is via the CSV file. One product or 5,000 products. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. In case of multi-species products, is it correct that marketing authorization holders need to have as many lines as species for each product and country? This refers to the file you have shown. And the example had 100% in one species, hence the question.
Yes, that's correct. If you have for one package 3 target species, this will be represented in the CSV file by 3 rows, one for each one of the target species, and you will need to indicate the percentage from the volume of sales that represent each one of them. So each target species is a line. Yeah.
Thank you very much. One more question regarding the package identifier. Will that be unique per country and product? And the clarification on the question is, how will the multilingual, multi-country packs be handled?
Okay, it will be handled, yeah, because you are providing the country. The package identifier in the all the products that are approved under decentralized mutual recognition or subsequent, they will have the same package identifier, and how the system can distinguish this package identifier is providing the country. That's why in the submission file that we have just seen, you need to provide always the country. Otherwise, we cannot identify the product that you are referring to. So you need both product identifier and country.
Okay, thank you very much. Then there is a comment, I believe, following your previous answer, saying that a product can be used in different countries to different percentages. What would be the advice in that case?
Okay, maybe because the granularity of UPD is that you have a product for each one of the countries. So the volume of sales will be provided by country. We understand, for example, a product approved under a decentralized procedure where 3 member states are involved, it will result in UPD in 3 products. So you will need to provide for each one of the 3 products the volume of sales. We don't consider this as a product. We consider that this is 3 products in UPD, one for each one of the 3 member states. So I don't know if it answers the question. Otherwise, yeah, explain or write an example how a package can be sold from the same product in different countries. But the provision of submit the volume of sales will be per country and product.
Thank you, Anna. Indeed, colleagues, if you want to submit an example, should the information provided not be enough, please do, and we'll address that. There is one question regarding whether it's possible to change the SFV file delimiter from comma to semicolon, as it could create errors on non-English keyboards.
Okay, what has been already implemented is the comma, and this was the specifications that were or that we defined together, the product owners with the technical team. At the moment, we cannot change because the volume of sales, they have been already implemented. Now it can be a problem, and it can be incorporated maybe or bring to the attention of the representatives of the product owners, and we will incorporate in the catalog of post-MVP requirements. But at the moment, we cannot change it. This is the implementation. These were the specifications. So we will use the comma.
Thank you very much, Anna. Additional question. Do notifications contain the exact change in the data?
No. The current notifications will not contain the data that has changed. Okay, but we have business requirements for MVP to enhance this, to enhance the functionality and to incorporate this change within the notification. But at the moment and in the current implementation, we don't have it. But we are still trying to see if we could do it for the minimum viable product. But at the moment, we didn't find a solution. No.
Thank you. There is also a question regarding the format of the files. Will Google Sheet files be also accepted?
Maybe.
Yes.
This is Christoph speaking here. And so to address also the previous comment, in fact, we use comma separated. I am not really sure of the problem that the different keyboards could cause. We follow a specification for the comma separated variable format. So we have used, I think we may have documented this, but in the implementation, we have that as a specification to use this for CSV, which I'm typing right now, and which caters, for instance, for in the event that there is a comma within a specific value, that this is not understood as a separator. But I think comma should be on every keyboard and should be can be implemented. So we went for CSV as opposed to any other specific tabular formats such as XLS or XLSX, or even the open standard for spreadsheets, because this can simply be opened by a text editor and doesn't require any particular tooling. And this can also be generated by a database or a database queries. So this is the simplest form of tabular format, and it can be opened by an Excel kind of or spreadsheet tool. It may be, again, in the future, if there's needs to have more specific formats that are maybe beneficial, then we can extend that in order to allow for that. But this was the most basic format we could go with at the moment.
Thank you very much, Anna and Christophe. Now, there is a question regarding the links between the UPD and the Union Pharmacovigilance databases. What will be these links? If you could briefly summarize those, please.
Yeah, so I mean, we have our colleagues working on the Union Pharmacovigilance database, consuming information. I mean, they are consuming today. They consume product information and substance information that we have in the UPD. So that is one example of integration that we have between the two. And an example is that so that they can match or map adverse events against products that we have recorded in the database. So that is one example. And then also the information that is coming from the sales will also be, or some information in there will be of relevance later on for when pharmacovigilance activities will also need this information. But this is done internally with our colleagues.
Thank you very much, Christophe. There are a lot of other questions that we have not responded or only responded in part, but it's now 1 minute to the end. So I would say that we have to close the meeting. We will follow up and send you the presentation and all the questions with the answers and additional questions you may have that you can send to vetchange.program@ema.europa.eu. We will paste again this address in the chat so that we can respond to those and include that in the documentation that we'll share with you after the event. I would like to thank you very much for your active participation and thank our colleagues Olivier, Anna, and Christophe for their presentations and responses. As soon as possible, we will also make available the recording of the session so that you can refer to that. And thank you once more for your participation. We will also make available the next events, both for the UPD and the Union Pharmacovigilance database in terms of demo and training, so that you can participate in those. Thank you very much, and we wish you a nice day.